What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have another review, this time of the Tudor Black Bay 58 in blue. Now it's been 6 months that I've owned this watch, so I wanted to do a long-term review of this guy. I already made an interesting comparison against this watch in a Chinese homage watch of this Tudor Black Bay 58 in case you want to check it out. And before we continue, I would like for you to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the reviews I'm gonna be posting. Now let's start by checking real quick the case dimension. It's known that this watch has a case size of 39 millimeters, but let's verify that real quick. And in this case you can see the case size is 39.5. If we check the actual Tudor 4 size, we see it's 40 millimeters. In the lug width we have 20 millimeters, and lug to lug we have 48.5. Now almost 48. Now this is something that might got you wondering, why is that this watch says that it has 39 millimeters and the actual size is 39.5. Well, the Swiss brands, this is something they do really often, that they round up or down the actual number of the case size. For example, remember Tudor is owned by Rolex, so in this particular example, if we look at the Rolex Submariner case size, we see that they say it's 41 millimeters, but in reality the actual case size it's 40.5 millimeters. So they just rounded the number up. In this case they just rounded the number down. The same for example Rolex Daytona. The actual case size is less than they state in the watch specifications. Now I'm not gonna be talking a lot about the watch specs. There's already plenty reviews about this watch. I wanted to focus this review on the actual in my actual experience wearing and owning this watch. This watch worth it? Would I buy this watch again? Let's get into that. Now, as I said, there's been 6 months since I own this watch already, and I'm not gonna lie, I bought the first time I saw this watch, I was like, oh, that looks cool. And there's a reason for that, and I really like the blue tone watches. That I just realized it's my favorite color that I'm attracted to in watches. In fact, my first and still favorite watch is the Orient Mako 2, which has for me the perfect blue tone. Now, when I saw, for example, other watches such as the Rolex Submariner in blue, I really didn't like it. The blue was too shiny. And for example, the Omega Seamaster, which I'm wearing in this case, the blue version was just too bright for me. In this case, this watch having an aluminum bezel makes it look like more muted down. The color is so it's not that shiny, and it's just amazing. It's a shame because I'm realizing the camera is having a hard time. It happened on the previous video as well, capturing the dial. The dial is actually, let me see if I can, if you see it from this side, you can see it's actually lighter, but because of the way the light's hitting, it's probably making it look darker. So the actual in this case the actual dial is slightly lighter and the bezel is slightly darker, as you can see it from this profile. It's something that happens often with the watches, that they don't really, the cameras doesn't do justice to how the watch looks in real life. Now, when I received the watch, the first days was a wow. Then after that, the honeymoon period, was just going down and down. I was looking this watch just as a nice watch. It's a pretty watch. It's not a tool watch, so let's settle that, because I've seen a lot of people saying that this watch is a tool watch, you can use it to that, yeah, whatever. But the reality is that in the real life, this watch feels like a pretty watch. Yeah, it's a diverse style watch, but it happens to me that, and a lot of people say, and I agree with that, that the actual tool watch would be the Tudor Pelagos, for example. In this case, this watch feels more like a I don't know how to say it. I really love this watch, so calm down, don't trigger. But looks like a fancy watch, like a watch that is, you know, just a piece of jewelry, which in the end it is, right? It's a pretty watch again, but feels like it. Something I don't like about the watch, and I know most people would not agree with this, but it's my experience, and it's not having a date. For me, having a date on the watch, it's really useful, and I end up using that even more than the hour. The date for me is the number one complication I would use in a watch. In this case, not having it, I understand, helps with the actual distribution of the dial to look more even, but I don't know, having a date for me makes gives me, you know, a complication that is useful. Now, in terms of the bracelet, as you can see, this is already a bit worn. In terms of the bracelet, there are some things, some points here that I want to touch, and this is going to be interesting. A lot of people are complaining about the rivets. They just don't like the rivets. For me, I particularly don't dislike the rivets, but I'm not a big fan of the bracelet. Let me explain why. I like the design of it. Feels a bit lighter than, for example, other watches. But this is something, again, Swiss brands are not too worried about making the bracelets to feel thick, to feel heavy. They just focus on make the bracelet free to feel comfortable. In this case, in this particular case, is this bracelet comfortable? It is. It is the most comfortable I've worn. It is not. This bracelet, it is comfortable, of course, has to be comfortable, but it's definitely not the most comfortable bracelet I've worn. And I'm talking about way less expensive watches. So this is something for you to have in count. There's something about the edges of the bracelet, in maybe on the clasp. I'm gonna be talking about the clasp next because it's an interesting point that, I don't know, doesn't make it feels really comfortable, and of course feels solid. But again, the combination that the bracelet feels a bit light and not being that comfortable makes the bracelet not great for me. It is a good bracelet, it's not a great bracelet, especially for the price. Now, in regards of the rivets, I don't dislike the rivets. A lot of people say that you're not gonna be watching or looking at the rivets when you see the watch. That is partially true. They're still visible. You are gonna be seeing these rivets. At least in my case, I don't always see the watch this way. I at times see it, for example, this way. I'm gonna put it on my wrist real quick. For example, when you use it, it's gonna be this way, so the rivets are clearly visible, right? They are visible. They are not an issue for me. I don't dislike them. I think they are okay. And especially also, a lot of people are not noticing this, but this bracelet has like this particular, like this piece of here that is like another piece of the bracelet that is part of the rivets part, by the way, but that's also noticeable, you know, that's also noticeable. So it's not like an oyster bracelet, for example, like I have here, a oyster type bracelet, which, by the way, I have a review of this guy already posted on the channel. That is, you know, just 3 pieces, nothing here, nothing here. In this case, there's definitely something extra here, and of course the rivets are going to be visible. You're gonna have to be okay with that, and there's no issues with it. I really like the bracelet, the way that tapers down. I have no issues with it. I actually like it because I think it adds more character to the watch, the way this tapers down instead of the original oyster style bracelet, which just tapers down uniformly. In this case, you have like steps in parts. It's tapering down by parts, and I really like that. I think it looks cool. Now the other thing would be the actual clasp, and this is a point where I have a contradiction in myself, because I really like the way the clasp operates, the way the clasp is designed with the shape of the brand. I really like that. I'm not a big fan of how it operates, opening this way, but I'm a huge fan of just doing it this way. I'm not sure if this is damaging the watch. I don't care. I don't babysit my watch. I really like to do it this way, to pop it this way. I really like it. So I'm a big fan of the design of the clasp. However, the actual execution of the watch, as you can see, we only have 3 micro adjustment options, and they are not on the fly. In my particular case, I'm always having a hard time in order to find the perfect fit of this watch for me. It's like it's either too loose or too tight. Right now I'm wearing it too tight, and the reason being is that if I add another link to the bracelet, then I will need to move this all the way down to this first micro adjustment point, and it's gonna be too loose. The other option is remove the link as it is right now and move it to the first position, and then it's slightly too tight. It's a shame we don't have at least 2 more micro adjustment points, or 1 micro adjustment points, or at least, I don't know, you would have to consider to buy. I saw online there are half links of this bracelet available. They are not made from Tudor. They are like aftermarket brands. But having like a half link, that would make the watch easier to find the perfect fit for your wrist. I've seen a lot of people that doesn't have any issues with the fit of the bracelet. In my case, I do have issues. As you can see right now, I have a 6¼ inch wrist. As you can see right now, it's okay if it is comfortable, but it's slightly tight. And if during the day, at least in my case, my wrist would change its size. So right now it's probably in a middle point. It's gonna grow, and then it's gonna be it's gonna decrease the size, and then when it decreases, it's fine. But when it increases the size during the day, it's a problem for me. It's gonna be too tight, and I'm gonna try for you to can see the clasp is gonna be marked on my wrist, because this shape right here, it's gonna be when I have a tattoo of the clasp. You know what I mean? Now, other than that, is the watch nice? It is nice. I really like it. I really like the way that the bezel operates, having 60 clicks instead of 120 as most watches have. I think it gives a nice sensation on the way it operates. Another point would be the overall feeling of the watch, and I think the case size, they definitely are correct stating that it is 39 millimeters, because it wears way smaller than it looks like. Also, I find myself using this watch a lot. Like, it's easier to pick, you know, because it's like a simple watch. It's like a classic looking watch. It's a diver's watch, which goes along well with pretty much every occasion. So I find myself picking up this watch very often. Also, the fact that it's not like a shiny watch, for example. Like, I really love this guy right here. I'm gonna be doing a review next on this one, and probably a comparison between the two. I really love this guy, but when I wear this watch, for example, in comparison, you can see it's big, it's shiny, and it talks out loud. When I'm wearing this thing, it's like you're definitely gonna catch some eyes, right? And at times I just don't want that. At times gonna be with something more, you know, more muted, more calm, and this is the perfect watch for it. Also, the fact that the size is smaller, it's gonna go along really nicely on most of the wrist. Now, to summarize, things I like about the watch. First, it's gonna be the case size. I really love the case size, how it sits on the wrist, how the bracelet looks, and let me be clear here how it looks, not how it feels. That's gonna be a point that's gonna be an actual con. But how the watch looks, the looking of the watch, I think it's fantastic. It sits nicely on the wrist. It is a perfect size for me. The blue, it's really nice. It is not shiny. It is not boring. It's like a perfect balance in between. In the case shape, the bracelet shape is just amazing. Also, the design of the clasp, I prefer it much better than the new modern clasp designs, where it's way more similar than the Rolex clasp style. Yes, they do have micro adjustment, but I don't know, I think this is way more original. I really like also the bezel. I think it's a nice point how it operates, although this is not a really important point. You know, you're not gonna be playing with the bezel a lot. So I think that is really nice. Now let's go with the points I have not liked so far, and those are the actual comfort and operation of the bracelet. I think having at least another micro adjustment point, it's crucial, right, on the watches for you to have the perfect fit. Or at least in this case for me, I also have the Tissot PRX, and that doesn't have any type of micro adjustments or other than the adding or removing half links. But in that case, the watch fits me well. In this case, it's not. I'm just in the dark point for this bracelet where it's either too tight or too loose. So that's definitely a downside point. The other point that would I say that is a con is I don't know how to say this, but not having, for example, a date, and also the way that this watch is this I don't know how to say it without sounding bad, because it's a point I actually like. It's a classic watch, yes, but it's a very how to say it, it's like a really normal watch. It's like a look that, you know, it's widely available on a lot of watches, starting by the Submariner and going, you know, continuing with plenty of watches that are homage in that watch. Having this type of design is really similar to a vintage Submariner, which is actually fine, but it might be boring at times when you're picking up watches. Like, for example, when I want to be, you know, picking something to be different, I'm gonna be picking this guy all the time. Or even if I wanna, don't be too loud, I'm gonna be picking this guy, for example. You're gonna be calling me crazy on how it's gonna be that I'm gonna be picking a Seiko over a Tudor. I own both watches. I'm talking about wearing it, right? Depending on the occasion. I have no issues wearing this watch. I'm not about the prices of the watches, right? I don't care. I'm gonna be picking whatever I like, whatever I want. So that's something you have in count with this watch, is that at times looks too boring. Having this color, however, it definitely helps, because with the black version, it's probably gonna be too boring, to say it in a way. Obviously, it's way better for me than the Rolex Submariner. I probably would never own that watch, because for me, that's the most boring watch ever. I'm not saying it's a bad watch. I'm saying it's an amazing watch, but for me, it doesn't speak, doesn't say anything. It's like I'm gonna be looking at the Submariner and I'm gonna be thinking, oh, okay, another watch. Like as I done plenty times. When considering buying a Rolex Submariner, it's definitely just not for me. But does this watch worth it? I think definitely worth it, especially if you can find it secondhand, because you're gonna have already a big discount. This watch is $450,000 if I'm not mistaken, brand new, and you can buy it used as new. Hopefully, you just gotta be careful. For probably around $253,000 currently, so that's already a discount, right? At least I think it definitely worth more if you can find a good deal on the secondary market. So that's been it, guys. Let me know what do you think of my review. How do you like this watch? If you own it, if you're planning to buy it, let me know your comments below, and I'm gonna be looking forward to reply to all of them. See you guys on the next one. Don't forget to subscribe.